on each other's questions or each other's answers, and you will have 1 minute for that. There will be two rounds of questions for each district. So Beth, do you want to go ahead and start the questions?
Okay, we'll start with Chris. Can you give us specific issues you feel that people should be consulted about when commissioners make decisions?
Well, I think the most obvious one is decisions that affect the use of your property, access to your property, etc. As a member of the Planning Commission currently, we see lots of development applications. When any decision is made or recommendation made to the county commissioners for final decisions, there are public hearings. People within a half mile or a quarter mile of proposed changes are notified. They have an opportunity to speak, be heard. But I think, so very specifically, any land use issues and property. And then I think as we go forward, certainly anything that triggers Tabor questions, property tax, or excuse me, income tax or any taxation questions need to go to the people, need to be discussed, and that's for them to decide. That's louder than I thought it was. No. So, yeah, I mean, we have a certain lifestyle here. People buy property, they buy homes, they expect to live in a certain way. If we are looking at anything that radically changes way of life, whether it's traffic, land use, taxation, etc., those need to go directly to the people. Those need to be discussed openly and publicly and at length before any decision's made. And again, in taxation, that's a decision of the people. So, thanks.
Jim Whistler. This is up your fiscal responsibility alley. In what way might we be more fiscally responsible with the county vehicles?
Well, first thing you have to do to be responsible at all is to know exactly how many vehicles you have. I did spend about 2 hours with Ed Ament, okay, who's the county manager, and we talked about a variety of subjects, including county vehicles. And right, it would have to be a report that to make sure that all county vehicles are properly registered, properly insured, and also tracking of how much mileage those vehicles have taken place. I believe that at the end of the year, the auditor should do a physical count to make sure we have all the vehicles we say we have. All right, that's one way to be also responsible with. But one of the things that we end up spending a lot of money on, no one realizes, is that the maintenance of our vehicles, especially the road graders, can be quite impressive at times. And it's looking at how each vehicle, the life of that vehicle, how much maintenance has been done on that vehicle. Should that vehicle be scrapped, or should it be kept on? It would have to be done making an ROI, a return on investment analysis. Okay, but vehicle use is one of our major responsibilities. Now, there is a separation of church and state here, because the sheriff also tracks his own vehicles, and the county tracks their vehicles. So I would have to, talk to the sheriff and how he wants to keep track of his vehicles to make sure that they're up to date. I think there's an umbrella policy for the insurance, but these things have to be negotiated with another elected official in that respect. That can only be really responsible for the county vehicles. But that's something that we, and I will, look at if I'm elected. Thank you.
Thank you. Marie? The office of Commissioner involves many different job skills. What in your work experience has been most beneficial in preparing you to be Commissioner?
Oh, man. Okay, I got a couple of them. One is I worked with youth at risk kids, the gangs. I think that would be valuable. And they would always put me in the room with the one that was out of control because I could get them back under control. And then I would be there for like 10 or 15 minutes and they'd come in and they'd say, okay, she's good now. And I go, great. I think that was pretty challenging. And then also I was a cab driver for 12 years. I got Cab Driver of the Month award all the time and things like that. And it was like being with different people in a very short period of time and having engaging conversations with them and making a difference for them. And I would have 5 minutes to half an hour to do that. So it was like being on spot, being present to people. That very much made a difference. I would, after all the college I went through and everything, I would say cab driving was the very best thing. And then I also did a clown workshop. I think that would be very valuable because you could bring a lightheartedness that is missing so much when you get into politics. And people are very, very serious. Let me see. I work with energy. I work with energy with horses. Actually, for 30 years, I traveled around the world teaching people about energy. I wrote books on it and DVDs, and we created the very first college program where students could get a degree in alternative healing with animals. And that was challenging because, once again, you were getting people past their fears. And I think there's something to be said for people being past their fears and able to make a difference in the world. And everybody wants to do that, but they have some fear about that. And that made a difference for me. So there you go.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Chris, this question was specifically for you. Will you look at county expenses for attorney fees, lawsuits, and staff lawyers? How could you possibly reduce this expense?
All right, yeah. The first part, yes, obviously we'd be looking at that. How do you reduce the expense? You do that by operating ethically and legally. I got a few more minutes. No, I mean, I think it is simply that. I mean, you operate professionally, you ensure that staff is trained, you ensure that you cross all your T's, dot all your I's as you're moving forward, that you get proper input, that you make proper notifications, that you do things in the manner that they are supposed to be done to avoid lawsuits. You give people access to information they should have so they don't have to sue to get information that they want, etc. I mean, it's doing things right and doing routine things routinely. Thanks.
Thank you. Jim?
I agree with Chris. You have to act professionally, have to act ethically. But the real question was, what can you do to reduce those expenses? Because the reality is, a lot of those expenses were started with previous commissioners and their behavior, and you may be saddled with that. So you have to look at it realistically. Now, I sat down with Ed, and I asked him about that, and he said his budget for 2016, the cost of legal fees went from roughly about $150,000 in 2014 to over $500,000 in 2016, an eye-gouging number. A lot of that was based on his estimate of what expenses might be. So you may not incur some of those expenses. But ultimately, you kind of have to sit down and negotiate with people who feel aggrieved. They feel aggrieved, they put in a claim, and they may have a legitimate issue, especially if the judge agrees with them. And now you have to deal with that realistically. That's how we do it.
Okay, Marie, as a rural county, what specific industries or businesses would you try to attract to Elbert County?
Well, there are simple ones like alternative energy ones, like the solar, wind energy. There's an interesting thing is that we have some wind energy towers on this county, but we are the only county that does not collect any money for that wind energy. And the other counties that are in that area collect money for it. So I go, so what is that about? So I would definitely focus on wind energy. I would focus on solar. I'd focus on new types of energy. Another thing that I would do is I would focus on, I told you that there was somebody that talked to me and she had a dream, and it was Dr. Heckman, and it was about an assisted living out here, so that people didn't have to leave the county and that they were taken care of in a way that really made a difference for them. And there are counties across America that are rural counties that are actually targeting assisted living and targeting what's happening with the baby boomers and putting in facilities so people feel safer in smaller communities. People are also able to feel more like a community. So when I was talking to Dr. Heckman, she wanted something that was environmentally friendly, that was green, that was energy efficient, that had a quality of life to it. And I would bring in ideas and bring in things that are not now available in the county. And so I would do that. I would also open it up to the people in the county that have a lot of innovative ideas, and just open it up to everybody, because we have, once again, really smart people, really people that want to make a difference. And that's what I would do. Also, another thing is alternative healing. Alternative healing is really coming into its own life right now, because the regular traditional medical system is costing too much money, and alternative healing would be something else to incorporate into everything in the county.
Thank you, Marie. Okay, Jim, you get a 2-minute question. How do you feel about development at increased densities as a driver of economic development? Somebody wrote this and I can barely read it. So how do you feel about increased densities as a driver of economic development?
Okay. Well, there happens to be a development under consideration in Elizabeth right now. The name of it's called Rotero. It's placed behind the Big R, okay, stores. And I just recently learned, at first I found out that Rotero was going to have 251 homes. I spent some time with the manager of Elizabeth. He laid it out for me. And then the developer said he wanted to, he couldn't make it financially viable at 251 homes. And he asked permission to increase it to 340 homes. Same piece of property, 340 homes. And they took under consideration, this would be the board of Elizabeth, and they said, sure, work up the numbers and we'll see what goes on. To make that happen, same piece of property, 40% more homes, he had to shrink the frontage from 80, I think, down to 60 feet, as Dick explained it to me. So there's your economic drive and greater density issue. No, I don't feel good about that, because I'm thinking those people are going to be stuck with 60 feet frontages, and the homes that you can build on that type of property forever. I have no control over what Elizabeth does. If I was commissioner, I would have no control whatsoever. So, I would just explain to them that this is a concern of mine. But I don't believe that's really where we want to go, because we don't want to look like Parker. You go down to Parker Road, Franktown, you make that right, go into Parker, and you can see that valley filling up with houses. And you don't see where it's going to stop. And I don't think that's really what you want. We want to keep this place rural. we want to keep it as beautiful as it really is. So I'm not in favor of that, but I can only control so much. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You had a comment, Marie?
So this is what I get, is that we are looking at housing developments in that inside of an old model of what that is. There might be totally new models that you can actually get into and start designing environments in which you can keep the rural, and you can also do high and density housing that is unique and that is really supporting of people and supporting of the environment. And I just looked into some Finnish homes that are shipped from Finland over to here, and they can do any kind of homes, and they're kind of like Lincoln Logs, but they have an R80 value to them, and they can do them for not a lot of money. So there's different models and architectures that you can put into high density that would actually contribute to what's happening with community. Right now, the thing that's happening with community is that they did a study, and they saw that people wanted two things as their number one and number one and second thing is. One is they wanted to be a part of community, not just the internet. And the second thing is they wanted to have something that made a difference for the world.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go to District 3 candidates. Wake up. I'll start with Grant. Are there actual options at this point for oil and gas development in our county, or is this just speculation?
It's speculation until it happens. The opportunities for oil and gas in this county are down the road a bit. And let me tell you the reason why. The reason people drill oil and gas wells, oil and gas companies, is because of the economics of the opportunity to find and extract hydrocarbons. And I spent my life doing this, but oil managers are risk adverse. They're always waiting for somebody else to drill the first well. Because in the nature of oil and gas people, they want to drill a well next door to the last well that was drilled. And that's the reason why all the wells are being drilled up in Weld County. Because there's all sorts of infrastructure that are already there. There's also lots of different wells there. Many of them were drilled vertically, now they're drilling horizontally. But the information that was obtained when they drilled them vertically is valuable information. So coming back to answer your question, it's a question of economics. When I was the area manager in Tripoli, Libya, I was dealing with the Oil and Gas Commission there. And the big question then was, you the dirty, rotten oil companies will have to pay taxes based on $8 a barrel oil rather than $3 a barrel oil. That was in 1972. Since that time, I remember I took a course at graduate school in commodity economic theory. One of the things we know for a fact, and I've lived through 4 of these now, high prices begat low prices, which begat high prices, which begat low prices, it's a curve, and it's called a commodity economic cycle. We will have activity here when the next cycle comes here.
Thank you. Many of the candidates have stated that we need a new master plan in Elbert County. What do you feel would be the optimal process of developing a new master plan? Should it be driven by staff or a planning commission?
Neither. It should be driven by the company that we're going to pay with our $150,000 of grant money, 75 ours, 75 theirs. But it should also be driven by you, our citizens. The master plan comes from you, but somebody has to drive the bus. And so we will hire a company to do that. But I think a combination of staff and the planning commission, let's get this done. We've been goofing around for 21 years and don't have a new master plan for 21 years. We need one yesterday. So I think we need to work together as a group, everybody in the county, the citizens, the employees, and the Planning Commission. Let's get this done.
Thank you. Barbara? You've stressed the need for a fair property tax. What do you feel is unfair about the tax structure now, and how would you go about solving the problem?
Well, I don't know how unfair it is, but one of the things that's happened is that a lot of people's property is not evaluated appropriately because we haven't had the appropriate people working in the assessor's office to evaluate. There are plenty of people whose property simply hasn't been, people were too scared to get out and go to the properties. So that, we have to have it appropriately evaluated regularly in order to get appropriate taxation. So that's one of the big issues there. We have to also consider that it's been a while since we've raised any kind of a rate, and money is not worth what it used to be. It doesn't buy as many people, it doesn't buy as much service, it doesn't buy as many vehicles to plow the roads, it doesn't buy anything. So we have to start taking a look, do we need more money? And we have a lot of very beautiful houses in Elbert County now. We've got a lot of new buildings going on, and is it appropriate, and we just need to reevaluate that. I think this is the time.
Mr. Thayer?
Again, I think you asked the wrong question. The real question should be, what is the mixture of property taxes in the county? If you go through the budget and study it, as I have, you'll see that between 92 and 93% of the taxable income, property taxable income in the county comes from rooftops, people's personal homes. Between 7 and 8% comes from business. We got to get back to putting together a plan. And the plan would include such things as economic development, a location of properties, and that type of thing. But without a plan, we're never going to increase the property taxes unless we increase the mill levy. I don't think that's a good idea. I think the best idea is to figure out how to manage the income side of the budget. And that includes economic development. And also, as the young lady here just said, it includes better financing, better resources for the assessor's office, and also for the building department, their planning department, because the fees there are inadequate, and because of that, we're subsidizing the newcomers.
Thank you. Okay, for the next round of questions, we're going to start with you, Barbara. Does anyone have or do you have a plan for the county compactor site? Or any idea?
Well, I don't have a plan, but I have a lot of anger about it. It was one of my husband's favorite places to play, so we used to go over there regularly, and we used to get lots of interesting furniture and stuff from there. So it was one of my favorite places, and besides which, it was a great place to take things that you wanted to get rid of. So I don't have a plan, but I have a passion for it. So I really want the compactor to be a compactor again. Now, I don't know what all the obstacles are to get it there. I know that it's what, state property now? Yeah. Or is it state or federal? It's...
Well, state regulations.
Yeah, state regulations. I thought it was state property. And so we just have to keep individual people's hands off the property who think they know better than God what needs to be done there. So I don't know how you get a hold of individual people and do that, but we need to do something. I have no specific plan, but I do have a great passion for putting the compactor back to action.
Thank you. Jim, you had a comment?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. We need a compactor site. A brief history, as far as I understand it. There's a Trident missile site at the compactor site, all right? And a couple of years ago, a company came and they wanted to make a deal with the county, saying, well, listen, we'd like to dig up that Trident missile site, dismantle it because the rebar is made out of titanium. We'll take the titanium and make some profit, and you guys can have the rubble of that cement. Unfortunately, it's a little confusing what happened, but that company dug a trench. That trench hit the old dump site, which included material from houses, and that material was asbestos. And as asbestos went in the air, the state EPA got involved and said, we have to shut this down. We have to mitigate it. Now, as far as I understand from what I've read from previous minutes, that the state has agreed, they mitigated, the company and the county has come to agreement, they mitigated that site, and so at this point they're on a 5-year watch for that, but I don't understand why it's not open either, and I want it open, because we need a place to run our trash. This is just a basic service we deserve. Thank you.
Chris?
Just a quick show of hands. How many folks in the room tonight are from Simla or east in the county? All right. Do you care if we have a trash compactor in Elizabeth?
Not really.
Okay. This is a big county, and I agree. We should have a place for people to take trash. When the compactor was operating, it was operating at a loss. If this is a service that the people of the county want, we should look at how we could reestablish that. My preference would be privately operated in a way that provides jobs and provides some economic activity in the county. Since it closed, we've got 3 trash haulers that are operating and employing people in this county. And it's kind of weird, I got 4 people on my cul-de-sac and we use 3 different services, so I see them every week. But there are people working because we don't have the trash compactor site. I know it's near and dear to a lot of people's heart, especially at this end of the county. But we need to look at the whole county and what needs to be done. And I personally am not in favor of spending money from taxpayers in Simla to provide a trash compactor for the folks that live around Elizabeth. If we can do that privately, all for it. Thanks.
Jim?
Okay, I looked at the prices. I looked at how that trash compactor was run. And what the county had done, they had actually slipped in the cost of some of the public health services into that budget. So I question how much in the red it really was. But I have a real problem with trying to privatize that trash compactor site. It's simple. Every time we try to bring in an outside contract to privatize something in this county, we ended up spending much more for that service and got less service every time. And I'm afraid we might do the same thing if we try to privatize the trash compactor site. It's a basic service. It's simple to run. It only takes one person or two. One person actually ran the whole thing. And we can do things like try to sell the e-waste, try to sell the recyclable materials that are given there. There are ways we can make that work and still make it viable for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, this question is for you, Scott. What is your position on having a county-wide water district?
Yeah, and almost unanswerable. We have a bunch of private water districts now. We have, excuse me, 3 or 4 different municipalities that have their own water districts now. So I guess I'm not in favor of a county-wide water district. I don't know what the benefit would be to the county, and I don't know how the county would acquire all those water rights. People own those rights. We would have to buy them from them. And we don't have the money to pay for a trash compactor. I don't know how we would buy all those water rights, so I'm against it.
Grant, this question is for you. How can you best utilize the business development park in the eastern part of Elbert County? Don't look at me, I didn't make this up.
Oh, I think that, again, it's a question that's a little bit misleading. I think what they're referring to is that the Ports to Plains Highway comes into Lyman and tees in there at Lyman. And then I-70 goes east and west, is basically a major haul route all the way from the east coast to the west coast and all the points in between. There's a lot of material that comes up from the Gulf Coast because that's where most of the big ports are that are close. So I think what they're asking is there an opportunity to build a business park around Agate? And the answer to that is, I would sure like to see it. I have quite a bit of land out there. But the reality of it is, not only do you have the intersection of roads there, you also have a railroad there. The only problem with Agate for economic development, whatever it is, it has to be very water sensitive. There's many places out there, ranch lands out there, if you drill a water well, you'll be lucky enough to get enough water to make a cup of coffee. So the whole point is if they do something out there, and I think it would be a good idea, it's particularly with the railroad intersection with the interstate highways there, it's an obvious place, there's open space, by that I mean undeveloped space. The other part of it is it would be very helpful to the Agate school system. When we first moved to this county 25 years ago, the Agate school was the center of the community out there. Today it has 8 students. And I think at that time it had somewhere around 100. And this goes back to economic development period where we talk about jobs and things like that. The young people are leaving. So if we can figure out how to make that an economic hub, that would be wonderful.
Okay, we're going to finish up by giving each candidate a 3-minute summary. And, you know, you don't have to use all 3 minutes. But to tell us why we should vote for you, you know, and we're not going to allow any comments on each other's summaries or anything like that. So District 3 will go first in this order. Barbara, Scott, and Grant in that order. So Barbara, you're on first with your summary. Yeah, your 3-minute summary of whatever you want to say.
3 minutes. All right. Yeah, you don't have to use it. Oh, please, let me use it. Okay. Well, I just think you've been a great audience. I think you've been really responsive to what people have to say, and I really appreciate getting an opportunity to talk to you and share my positions on things. But I just really appreciate what you've offered this direction, and I want to thank you for being here tonight. And I appreciate the questions you offered up to, and so I just want to do a little gratitude here, because I love it when people come out to these debates. I think it's really important to the people who are running for office, and I think it's very important that the information get back to you. So my position is I think it would be really, really good to have a Democrat or two. And, you know, if you had picked Marie and I for the commissioner, then Kelly's going to be commissioner another 2 years. We would have 3 women be commissioners. And I think that's a great idea. It's never been done before, I bet, in Elbert County. I bet we'd go back a long way and never see that one. And, you know, Boulder County right now has 3 county commissioners, and they're all women. And they have the slick website, I've heard them tell. So I think that you should give it a very serious consideration, because you can never tell. When 3 women get together, a lot of interesting things can come up, and a lot of interesting choices could be decided on. you never know, you may really like the results. So I guess I'm done. So thank you.
How do you follow that? How about a big thank you to Kathy Green, Kathy, Charlie's New York hot dog. With those grants, thank you. And Ben, Big Ben. And I want to thank you for coming tonight. This has been a great event. There's a lot of difference in saying you'll do something and actually getting it done. As usual, this race has been full of promises, many of which you've heard every election cycle. So how do you decide who will actually do what they say? It comes down to track records. You wouldn't invest in a stock that never produced, and you shouldn't vote for a candidate who has a poor track record either. This race is about who will help lead Elbert County for the next 4 years. My opponent is a good man. This race isn't about good or evil. It's a choice. What kind of leader do you want? If you want someone who can measure the hydrostatic pressure in a water well, or someone who got an advanced degree 30 years ago, someone who took over 2.5 years to write and propose 64 pages of oil and gas regulations to the Board of Commissioners, someone who quit the Planning Commission after the 64 pages didn't get approved, someone who brags about being a CEO for some unnamed Wall Street firm and then sees the man at the top as someone in charge, someone who does not recognize a county administrator who was instrumental in saving us $2 million and wants to replace them with a yes man, then don't vote for me. But if you want someone who will work with you to come up with a fair and sensible water plan that focuses on your needs, someone who has proven their skills to this county over and over again, someone who can work with people to get a strategic plan in place in the first year, someone who sees different opinions as positive and won't give up when conflict rises, someone who understands and believes the citizens are the ones in charge of our county, someone who respects and will work with our talented and dedicated county employees, then vote for me, Scott Wills. I am that someone. It is said that past behavior is the greatest indicator of future behavior. I have been living, working, volunteering, and leading right here in Elbert County for almost 20 years. When things get tough, when I don't get my way, I won't quit. I have proven that right here in Elbert County. I will work harder to form the coalitions needed to get the very best for you, the citizens of Elbert County. I ask for your vote in June. The Republican primary ballots will be mailed to you on June 6th. Help me make Elbert County great again. Vote for Scott Wills, because leadership matters.
Hey, Mr. Bayer.
Wow. One of the things about my opponent, he doesn't check his facts, but let's go on to the real issue here is leadership matters. The reality is no man or woman is born with a God-given ability to lead. Leadership skills are developed over time and with education, dedication, and experience. I am reminded of a book that I recently read about a stonemason in the Middle Ages. He started out as an apprentice, learning mathematics and trigonometry, and how to use tools to cut stone. Over time, he became a skilled journeyman, and then he became responsible for building a small wall, and later became the leader on larger projects and then many projects. With his years of experience, he became a master stonemason. He was then asked by the village and the county to build a cathedral. His life of accumulated knowledge earned the trust of his community, which made this possible. I am that man. Elbert County is the foundation on which we will build the cathedral. It is now time to select a person for county commissioner that has education, dedication, and life experiences along with accumulated knowledge to provide competent leadership and earn the faith, confidence, and trust of the citizens of our community. Competence matters. It is my goal that together we will transform Elbert County into one that is recognized through Colorado as having the best plan for our future, and most of all, as the best managed county in the state. I wasn't going to use that because I thought it was a little bit pointed, but I was advised I must. Commissioners must identify, analyze, and resolve issues that lie before us. We need to form a united vision for the future of our county. I am not Obama. I do not blame people for the past. I don't blame them for what went before me. I cannot change the past. I look to the future. It is bright, and we must prepare a plan for our future and manage it for the benefit for all of the citizens of our county. Elbert County, we must expect more. We must demand more from our elected officials. It takes leadership, experience, vision, and determination. We can do it. The right combination of county commissioners, vision, and implementation of a well-thought-out leadership strategy will provide an opportunity for staff and elected officials to excel. County government will get better. I'm educated, dedicated, and experienced. I have a rare combination of agricultural, technical, and business experience, plus many years of public service, plus, most importantly, a love for the county. This is today's Elbert County. Expect more. We can do it. God bless Elbert County. Thank you, and I appreciate your support.
Okay, now we're going to go through in this order for the District 1 candidates. Marie, you will be first, Chris, you will be second, and Jim, you will be last.
I am so happy I'm first. First of all, I would make a lousy county commissioner. I don't even want the position. The thing that I want is to make a difference. So, I have this flyer. Did you all get this flyer here? Did you all get this? Okay, a lot of you did. Okay, did anybody look at the back of it? There's Who Motors. And then there's this fundraiser for a woman named Leanne. Did you all see that? She has cancer. So my world is about being a contribution and making a contribution. So I'm going to take the back of this and I'm going to say I want to get something started right now inside of Elbert County for making a difference. So what I need is I need a hat. I want your hat over there on the end. And what we're going to do is we're going to pass the hat around, and everybody's going to put some money in the hat, and this money is going to go to her for her life and making a difference for her. Put in a little, put in a lot. If you don't have any money, borrow a nickel from the person sitting next to you. So it's about bringing together the county rather than, waiting. I am not a person that waits. That's my life, and that's my contribution to the world. And I do see things as a vision rather than a circumstance and rather than a problem and a solution. I see things as an opening for a new future. So your hat over there, I'm going to come and take it. Is it okay? I'll give it back to you at the end and we'll just pass it down here.
Marie, why don't we get somebody to help do that?
Okay.
Who would volunteer to just help
How about you right there on the
pass the hat?
Yeah, pass the hat. Okay.
A lot of you probably know Leanne over here.
Yeah. So go, hey,
just kind of like taking an offering at church or something.
Yeah, yeah. So,
and if you can't, just put in whatever you can.
Yeah.
This is completely unrehearsed and unplanned, by the way, but I think it's a great idea.
My life is unrehearsed and unplanned. I want you to know that. That's how I live it. So I do have things to offer, and I want you to know it would be really cool if there were 3 women county commissioners. One of the reasons is because the guy who is the head of the United Nations, he was interviewed on 60 Minutes, and at the end of the interview, he said, the person that was interviewing him said, what is the one thing that you could say that would make the difference for what's happening in the world right now? Without hesitating, this is what he said. He said, put women in power in every position that there is in the world, and we will have a different world. Okay? So I'm just going to say that. And just go ahead and pass that around. And does somebody here know Leanne? Who knows Leanne? Raise your hand. Oh, okay. Why don't you'll get the money to her?
I will.
Okay, and tell her it's from all the people in Elbert County.
All
Okay, to make a difference.
Get a bigger hat.
Get a bigger hat. Do we need another hat? Somebody else have another hat? We're just going to pass this around, and that's it. So I don't want anybody to vote for me. I would actually, my commitment was to have 0 votes. But I mean, no kidding, because I saw that with 0 votes, people look at that. But if you have 10 votes, people don't. All right, that's it.
Okay, thank you. We're going to turn on the lights and do this. And then we will finish up with the remaining 2 gentlemen over here. Would somebody like to do a song and dance while we're waiting? Or?
I think we just had one.
Okay, I guess I got the go-ahead here that we'll have you 2 gentlemen go ahead and finish up, because it's not going to be that distracting. So, Chris, if you'd like to give your summary, that would be great.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I hope you leave here knowing a bit more about me and how I intend to serve our county. I know we've got folks from both parties up here, but I think it's important to recognize that we do have a primary race. So next month, that election is going to be very important. For affiliated voters, it's your opportunity to choose who's going to represent your party in the general election. The time window's closing pretty quickly here. If you haven't registered to vote for a specific party and you want to, ballots will be going out pretty quickly. So again, I'm running to be the Republican candidate in District 1. My opponent has many talents. Has a long record as an active Democrat, and the mere fact that he chose to affiliate with our party a year and 12 days ago should give you pause if you are a Republican. I'm a principled and proven leader. My life's an open book, and I've spent my entire adult life in public service to our nation and to the many communities that I've lived in. So for those of you who are Republican and voting, this is what that means to me. I believe that our rights are a gift from God. I believe the primary purpose of government is to protect those rights. I believe in constitutionally limited governance and the rule of law. I believe that the government that governs least governs best. I believe that a free economy, unfettered exercise of property rights, and minimal taxation bring prosperity to everyone. And I believe that personal responsibility and the freedom to fail and the freedom to succeed should be encouraged and protected. I believe the Board of County Commissioners exists to direct the provision of services to the people of Elbert County. Our role isn't to govern the county, it's our role to respond to the needs of the citizens. So I do thank you, and I hope you consider your vote wisely next month and this fall. Thank you.
Mr. Whistler?
History has been made here tonight. This is the first time in a long time that a real debate where the voters can compare candidates side by side took place. I want to thank Beth, Jerry, Susan, and the Bishop family for everything they've done. They deserve a round of applause, please. Now, some of you may not know, I got on the June primary by petition. I want to thank the hundreds of Elbert County Republicans who signed that petition. Without their help, their belief in competition, and their trust in me, this night might not have happened. See, in 1962, Ronald Reagan, he switched parties. He was a Democrat all his life, but in '62, he became a Republican. Not only did he become a Republican, he became arguably one of the most famous and greatest Republicans of the party, of that century. I want to be the Ronald Reagan of Elbert County and bring good things to Elbert County, bring unity to Elbert County, bring prosperity to Elbert County. So I thank Chris for bringing up that issue. Now the difference between my opponent and me are stark. My opponent's training has been mechanical engineering, University of Pennsylvania. I was Temple University, both in Philadelphia. Mine was business analysis, accounting and finance. So as a mechanical engineer, if you need to design a bridge or a car, there you are. But if you need to finance that car, determine if the mortgage costs of that car fits your budget, understand the tax advantages of one car or another, then talk to a tax and finance guy like me. Larger problems in this county are budget, finance, and administration. Yes, we seek smaller government. Government that stays out of our way. But when that government does intersect with us, like when we need a permit or a car tag, we want that process to be quick, simple, and painless. There are no quick solutions. This campaign is not about what we did in the past, it's about what we can do now and will do in the future. I want a new phrase for Elbert County politics. That new phrase is, not on my watch. Allowing excess spending and outside contracts where in-house staff would be more cost effective? Not on my watch. A website that's not up to date or missing links to documents that were discussed in that meeting? Not on my watch. The fear that developers will take advantage of the county's resources and attempt to privatize their profits while spreading their costs to all the citizens in this county? Not on my watch. The concern that there's a lack of transparency where a citizen feels they have to put in requests for information time and time again because that information is not available on the website? No, not on my watch. The worry that some developer or corporation will think that Elbert County is a bucket full of water that they can fill their pipe dreams with? Not on my watch. Lastly, the power to shape the future is in your hands. And I believe that together we can build a better and greater Elbert County, where citizen input is sought out, where we break from the perception of the good old boy network, where we have a stabilized financial situation. Now in January, I don't know if anyone here plays cards. In January, this county will be dealt a new hand that leads us into the future with 2 new commissioners. As in many a card game, the best start is to get a pair of aces. I asked the citizens in Elbert to pick a pair of business aces just June 28th. This county needs and deserves professionalism. Please grant it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming. I want to invite the strong people who feel like helping. We need to stack all these chairs in like 8 or 9 in a stack. And that would be very helpful. I don't want to have to be here till 2 o'clock in the morning doing it myself. So just help with that. And thank you to the 2 Kathys who provided the food and did just a wonderful, wonderful job over there. So thank you all.
Jim, be careful. Yep. I don't know. I'm worried about you.